Paragraph 2 you will never need when you're buying, I hope, because it calls for you to go out and get new financing, FHA, VA, or conventional. And I hope you don't do that to buy real estate, because it's not needed. It's not necessary. I don't want you to go down and get new financing to buy real estate. Private loans, maybe. 50% loan to value, maybe. But I prefer you stay out of banks. The more you learn about how to stay out of banks, the better you're going to like yourself, and the better your family's going to like you too, because the less of your empire you're putting at risk. What will be the biggest problem you ever have in this business? If anything takes you out, what will it be?
Making yourself more.
Loans you guaranteed at the bank. You agree with that, Chuck?
Is there any way that you can get a line of credit against your house and not somehow be
No. If you get a line of credit against your house, you're going to be personally liable for it. But that's okay. You're smart enough to know what to do with that line of credit. What I'm more concerned about is you going out and buying a rental property and going out and finance it at 80% loan to value. Because you say, well, that makes sense. The tenant will pay off the debt. I can take the cash and go multiply my empire. The problem with that is that pretty soon the cash is gone, but the debt's there for a long time in the future. And the future, nobody knows. It doesn't take much out there to happen in your life to totally change your focus and your attitude. So now you went down to the bank and you've got 10, 15, 20 loans in your own name, you've got all these properties financed, 80% loan to value. How do you get out of this trap? There's only two ways. Pay off your loans or die. And if you die, you just pushing your trap onto your family. Sure, your wife may or may not be personally liable on the loans, but still she's going to lose the empire unless she's good at management, and some are and some aren't. What really kills me is when you take your wife down to the bank and let both of you guarantee the loans because you thought that's what you had to do and that's what they said. That's when you're really in double jeopardy. That is one of the most incredible, stupid mistakes you can make, is have both of you go first. And I know I see some snickers out there, and I know many of you have already done it, but don't do it no more. Don't do it no more. Don't let a bank tell you need both of your signatures on the loan, because you absolutely do not. There ain't no deal worth that. There ain't no deal worth that. Anyway, I've taken some very serious seminars on that stuff, and, especially in my beginning days when I really didn't even know what the heck a good deal was. But I had this line of credit. See, I started broke. Didn't take me long to get to the point where I could develop a great line of credit. And I started using that line of credit on buying what I thought was right, and wasn't right. So I took some serious seminars. So I learned to deal without banks. And I won't use banks because I've learned not to put that empire at jeopardy. I've learned that I don't need to use banks' money. There's ways that I can do business, many ways, more ways than I'll ever even touch. Lease options are a great example. I don't need banks for that. Owner financing. Get in, get out with owner financing. Build an incredible monthly cash flow. Build an incredible cash stash right now. Don't need banks. Buying junkers. Selling them retail. Don't need banks. Sell them wholesale. Don't need banks. Except to take my buyers to in that case. I don't borrow money from them anymore. Ever. Now, why did I say all that? Oh, paragraph 2. Paragraph 2 is filled out to take your buyers to, not to take you to. Don't go borrow money from a bank to buy a house. Basically, it just gives you a place to check whether, it says here, to your buyers applying for a loan, it'll be approved within blank number of days. And the second paragraph is if they're going to get an FHA loan, you got to check that. Or if they're going to get a VA loan, you check the one below it. It's got language in it that they require. If it's not in this contract, they're going to have you sign an addendum with the same language in it, and the buyer's going to sign it. Basically, the FHA line says that if the property appraises for less than $53,500, if that was the case here, that the buyer has the right to back out unless you're willing to lower the price to whatever appraised for. And it says that the seller has the right to back out if they're not willing to lower the price. It's just a protection paragraph. Paragraph B deals with assuming, assumption. Look how explicit the paragraph is. It says a buyer understands that the loan interest will or will not assume. It will or will not escalate, or it's a variable, or it's a fixed, or it's a graduated payment mortgage. And it says that the buyer will, within blank days, make a required application and timely provide qualifying information as required by the lender. If you're ever buying a property, will you fill that out? What qualifying information will be required on any loan you ever assume? None. You can assume loans now, no qualifying loan. But who will assume them? Your trust, not you personally. And if your trust assumes a loan, It will not require qualifying. Hello? Okay.
So B is not applicable to us.
B is applicable to you if your trust is assuming a loan. You still check that it's a fixed rate and that the rate will not escalate and that you agree to assume it. Incidentally, if it's not checked, it doesn't apply. Okay, C deals with seller carryback financing. I like that one. I like that one. In fact, look at the split-funded contract here. This is about the best paragraph I've ever seen written addressing seller carryback financing. Some of them are so vague. This one says that the balance due to the seller will be evidenced by a negotiable promissory note of buyer secured by a valid purchase money, first, second, third mortgage, whatever it is, to the property and delivered by buyer to seller, dated the date of closing, bearing annual interest rate of blank percent for blank and payable blank per month for blank years or blank months. You just check off whatever applies. Privilege of prepayment does or does not apply. That means there'll either be a prepayment penalty or there won't be. When you're taking back a mortgage on a property, do you put a prepayment penalty in it? No. No. You don't want to penalize them for paying you off. You want to encourage them to. You don't put a prepayment penalty in one you're taking back. That's only when you're funding loans for private lenders, because they don't want to be paid off. If they do, they want to collect extra for it. The mortgage will be due on sale or not be due on sale. If you're buying, which will it be? Not be due on sale. If you're selling, which will it be? Due on sale. You mean we don't buy like we sell? Never do we buy like we sell. This agreement is assignable without the consent of the seller. You see how far assignable is indented? It used to say not. My whiteout got rampant there. Truth is, that didn't even refer to the contract. That was referring to the note and mortgage you're taking back.
Where is this?
Paragraph C. Then I wrote on there, all due within 6 months of closing. This is one of those split funded, remember? You look up there, I offered them $3,000 down, $27,000 due, all within 6 months of closing. You also notice there's no interest and there's no payments in the blanks there. So that paragraph deals with any kind of seller financing you're going to give the seller back.